Hi guys! Welcome to my channel. My name is Morgan and I'm the maker behind LA Crochet. I'm so excited because this is my very first YouTube video. And I thought for my first video it would make sense to tell you guys about my very first market. And if you clicked on this video, it's probably because you like market recap videos. So let's dive right into it. But first, if you would like to support my crochet business, be sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and check out my Instagram and my Etsy page linked in the description box below. So my first market was like 3 weeks ago at this point, and it was like exactly what you would want for a first market. It was indoors, so I didn't have to worry about a tent. They supplied the tables and the chairs, so I literally just had to like roll up with my plushies and my display stuff. Another reason this was the perfect market was that the booth fee was only like $30, so it was pretty low stakes and I could just kind of have fun and not worry about making back a massive booth fee. This market was also super special because it benefited a Girl Scout troop in my area and all of the kiddos were so sweet and helpful. And my husband and I left with Girl Scout cookies. So I'm gonna take you guys through everything I took to my first market and what I priced it at. Basically, I decided my prices based on $15 an hour plus material cost, and pretty much everything that I made is made out of Parfait Chunky yarn. I'm definitely a Parfait Chunky girly. So anyway, let's get started with the inventory. And I'll link all of the pattern creators in the description box below in case any of you would like to recreate any of these guys for your market. First, I brought 8 axolotls and I'll try to pop them up here on the screen for you guys. Hopefully editing Morgan can figure out how to do that. I brought 2 pink, 2 green, 2 blue, and 2 purple axolotls, and I just picked those colors because I figured those were some of the most popular colors that people like. I'm so happy that I brought axolotls. For some reason, axolotls are like crazy popular with kids today. Like, some kids go totally feral over axolotls. I wanted to give you guys a closer look at my axolotls. They're so cute. And they have their little leggies. I priced them at $17 since they take me a little over an hour to make. And this is a pattern created by Crochet by Jenna, so I'll link that below. The next thing I brought were bees, and I just free-handed these. Oh, that rhymed. But I made 5 of them and they were all yellow and I priced them at $14. I've seen a lot of people make bees in like a bunch of different colors, and for some reason, I've only ever made them in yellow. If you guys have seen my Instagram page, you know that I really love color, so it's kind of surprising I've only made them in yellow. I also brought 5 bee keychains and I priced them at $10 each. This is a pattern that I created myself, and he's just so chunky and cute and he looks kind of derpy, so I just love him. I'm thinking I might film a tutorial on how to make these later, so stay tuned for that. I also brought this different variation of a bee. This was another pattern test for the beautiful Shaylin Studio. I'm gonna put her Instagram handle below. You guys should totally go follow her because she's awesome. I priced him at $20 because a lot of detail went into the individual legs and the wings. Next, I brought chickens in 3 different sizes. So I brought 5 mini chickens, which I priced at $12. Then I brought 5 medium chickens, which I priced at $17. And then I brought 2 large chickens, which I priced at $22. And I'll try to show you guys how I displayed them at the market here. I got them like their own little box that I kind of thought of like as their own little chicken coop, so very cute. And all of these chickens were also free-handed by me. I just love making these chickens because they're just so easy to make and they're so cute and like loafish, like loafy looking. Not sure if loafy is a word, but you know what I'm saying. I made the medium-sized chicken using snow cone yarn, which is also by Premier. So it has a more like fuzzy texture than all of the other chickens. But I'll tell you what, crocheting with fuzzy yarn is not for the faint of heart. You literally cannot see any of the stitches and you have to go just based entirely on feel. It is really difficult to crochet with fuzzy yarn in the beginning, but the more you do it, you get the hang of it. So I definitely recommend challenging yourself with that if you haven't already, for my fellow crocheters. So the next thing I brought was my chickie and egg, which I'll have to show you guys a picture of. Spoiler alert, I actually sold that at the second market that I did. Second market video coming soon. I priced my chickie at like $24 because he also had quite a lot of detail go into him. He had back tail feathers and like little feathers on the top of his head, and then he also had his own individual little egg. I'll actually try to show you guys this really cute reel that I made with him. And this was a pattern test for the lovely Lyra Loon Softies as well. So I'll link her Instagram handle below so you guys can give her a follow as well. So for those of you who don't know what pattern tests are, they're when another crochet artist writes a pattern but wants to make sure that like it's totally perfect before they actually release it into the world. So they'll choose a few people to pattern test it for them, and you'll go through and just double check their work and make sure that like all the stitch counts are right and everything's super easy to follow. And in return, you usually get a copy of their completed pattern. And if you're wondering how you can participate in pattern tests, every one that I've ever done has been through Instagram. There's people running pattern tests like literally all the time on Instagram. If you don't get chosen, don't get discouraged, just keep applying and eventually I'm sure you'll get chosen. Like, I'm relatively new to crochet and I've already been able to do like 4 different pattern tests, and they're super cool because you get to help other crocheters put the final like finishing touches on their patterns before they release it, and then you make crochet friends along the way too. Okay, next I brought this adorable white and pink cow that I also have to show you a video of here because, again, spoiler alert, I sold it at my second market. I priced this cow at $32 because it took me a super long time because I actually made this cow when I was like really new to crochet. So it took me a really long time to make, and it was the first like standing on all fours crochet plushie that I've ever made. Originally, I believe that the pattern called for like a strawberry necklace, but I decided to like freehand a little cowbell for her because I don't know, I just thought it looked really cute. And this was a pattern I tried out by 1 Cent Crochet. Okay, the next thing I brought was this adorable donkey. Every time I look at him, I just think of like a donkey quote from Shrek. And wouldn't you believe this is actually another pattern test that I did? You can tell I love pattern testing. Next, I brought 2 chunky dinos, each priced at $20. I just love making chunky dinos because every time I make them, I think of that song that plays in Madagascar when Moto Moto comes out of the water. If you know, you know. You guys, I also brought a dragon. This is literally one of my favorite things to make. Here she is, my dragon. She is so cute. You can see I still have the price tag on her ear. This pattern is completely no sew and it's by Crochet by Jenna, and I just absolutely love making it. At the time I'm filming this video, I believe I've made like 5 of these like jumbo dragons. I typically make my dragons using Sweet Snuggles Light from Michaels just so they come out a little bit bigger. Originally, I priced her at $80, which is a lot. But the very first time I made this pattern, which was this dragon right here, it literally took me like 5 hours because I'd never made anything so detailed before. At the time I'm making this video, I've already had my second market, which I've kind of referenced before. And for that market, I brought 3 more dragons and I actually got my time down to 3.5 hours to make them. So I was able to bring the price down as well. And spoiler alert, I sold one of my dragons at my second market, which I was super excited about, but I'll go into that in more detail in the next video. I also brought 1 chunky frog to my market and I priced him at $20, but I've been looking everywhere for him and I can't find him because he's kind of like an evil mastermind. Okay, I found him. Here's my froggy. He's very spherical and I embroidered these evil eyes on him. I just thought it would be really funny if I had all these like super adorable plushies on my table and then there's just this guy scowling in the background, like plotting world domination. I featured this guy really early on my Instagram page. I made a few kind of funny reels with him with like the audio of Dr. Evil playing. I also brought 1 mini froggy for $15 and I just love him because he's so derpy and cute. These two froggies were included in a pattern bundle that I purchased from Lyra Loom Softies. And for my last froggy variation, I made one popping frog that I listed for $18. And I believe this is the last pattern test that I have to show you guys. And it's so fun because he's like an interactive plushie. His mushroom top pops and his arms are just so close together, like he just looks so cute. This was a pattern test for Crochets by Natty. Okay, that's all for the froggies. The next thing I brought to my market was one heart-shaped plushie. I just kind of made this because I was experimenting with making different shapes. I thought it would be kind of cute for Mother's Day or something like that. I also brought 16 mushy boys. 6 of them were red, and then I made 2 orange, 2 yellow, 2 green, blue, and purple. And I priced them at $15 because each one takes me about 45 to 50 minutes to make. I like making these because people love them and I really never get tired of making them for some reason. The next thing I brought were these popping mushroom keychains. I brought them in these 4 different color variations and I brought 2 of each and I priced them at $10. I use gold keychains because I think they just look really classy and complement the yarn very well. I got them off Amazon, so if you're interested in purchasing them for your market, I can link those in the description box below. Next, I brought a whopping 18 octos to my first market and I priced them at $10 each. I make them in pretty much every color of the rainbow. Like I made them in white, pink, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. I think I even did like 2 different shades of green and they're just really cute and fun to make. And I like how on these octos, the tentacles are like individual, so it just looks like there's a lot of detail that kind of went into those. I also brought 3 sunflower turtles to my market. I brought 1 purple, 1 green, and 1 blue, and I'll pop a picture of them here. I priced each one at $45. They take me about 3 hours to make just because you have to sew on all the fins and the head and the tail. I feel like a broken record because I feel like I keep saying that I love making everything, but I literally love making everything. Strawberry turtles and sunflower turtles are some of my favorite things to make, which brings me to my next item. My strawberry turtle. I priced my strawberry turtle at $40. He's at a bit of a discount because if you'll look closely, you'll notice that his fins are actually sewn on backwards. So this turtle was the very first turtle that I ever made, and I guess I just got like a little confused with how the fins were sewn on. A bunch of people have told me that it's really not that noticeable, but quite honestly, I cannot unsee it. So he's discounted from $45 to $40, and honestly, if someone wanted to give me like $30 or $35 for him, I would honestly take it. I also brought 1 regular turtle for $40. I figured I should have like 1 option at a regular turtle, and then I figured if like there wasn't too much interest in her, then I could always add like sunflower petals to her later. I also brought 1 purple triceratops, which I'll show you here, and I priced him at $15. I really meant to make the triceratops in like a bunch of different colors, kind of like my octos and my mushy boys, but I just ran out of time. And the next thing I brought was 1 jumbo strawberry. I priced my jumbo strawberry pillow at $55 because it took me about 4 hours to make. And this is actually the one thing on my table that was made using Bernat blanket yarn. And finally, last but not least, I brought 10 strawberry keychains. I brought 5 red and 5 pink, and they were each priced at $10. And I believe these are the only items items on my table that were actually made out of acrylic yarn. So that's everything I brought with me to my first market. Like I said, pattern creator info can be found in the description box. When you're first starting, it can be really difficult to know what to price your items at. So I'm kind of going based on like a trial and error system. So I'm starting with the baseline of like $15 an hour plus a little extra for material cost. And then at my markets, I'll see how everything does and if I need to adjust prices based on like how people are perceiving them, then I can do that. So in total, I ended up bringing $1,659 worth of inventory to my first market. So I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about my setup too, and I can link all of the things that I used for my setup in the description box below in case you're interested. When you're first starting out, I feel like creating your display is kind of intimidating and also very expensive. Like the tent, the table cover, your display items, all of that really adds up and can be kind of expensive. And I really wanted to like build my business from the ground up organically and kind of like purchase new things as I brought in income. So luckily for my first market, it was inside, so I didn't have to worry about a tent, and the table was provided, so I didn't even need to buy a table. But for my display, I bought 2 wooden crates from Michael's. I can show you guys a picture here. And then I also got 3 of these cute like serving platter things. The top layer of them were perfect for displaying my mushy boys, and then on the bottom having like some of my one-off items. When you're first starting out, I highly recommend getting creative and like looking around your house to see if there's anything that you can use for your display. Like for my different groupings of plushies, I actually used these wooden table rounds, and these are repurposed from my wedding a few months ago. My brother actually cut them for me. A tree went down in his backyard, so we made our centerpieces for our wedding out of them, and now I'm using them for my plushies. And then for my price signs, I used the table numbers from my wedding. They're just like little sheets of plexiglass, and they're held up by smaller wooden rounds that have like a little slit in them. And then I just printed out the sign and like with the price on Word and then like taped it to the plexiglass. So shout out to my brother and my sister-in-law for helping to make these centerpieces and also unknowingly my market displays. I also got this wooden sign for my gift table at my wedding, and then I just repurposed it, and now I'm using it as like a little sign at my booth, and it has like my Instagram handle on it and all of the different payment methods that I accept. And then the next thing I ordered online was a square. I really like the square because it's super easy to use, and I think the fee that they take is only like 2%. So for the convenience of accepting cards, which is what a majority of the people pay with, the fee really isn't that bad. I also bought this really cute white frame originally for the seating chart at my wedding, and now I've repurposed it to have my name on it. I know it looks really boring right now with just like the black and white like piece of paper hanging on the sign, but eventually I want to get a banner with my logo on it, and it'll be like the cute minty green colors with like the clouds that's a part of my logo that you'll see at the top of my YouTube channel. Next, I got this keychain display rack from Amazon. It was like $25. And finally, I got like a huge pack of price tags from Amazon that I put on all of my individually priced items. Basically, when I make a bunch of one item, I'll put it like on a table round or on a grouping with like a bigger sign for the price, and then anything that's like larger or like a one-off, I'll put these individual price tags on them. So I came into this market with like zero expectations, because it was my very first one. I really didn't know what to expect, and I also didn't want to be disappointed if it didn't go as well as I thought it might. So this first market that I went to, it was actually the very first time that they'd ever put on an event like this, and there was also another huge event happening in the same town, so unfortunately the foot traffic was almost non-existent. I think my husband and I counted like 20 people maybe that walked through for the entire like 5-hour event. But I was super happy with how the market went, and I'll tell you why. One, I was surrounded by super nice vendors, and I actually learned about the second market that I did from one of my neighboring vendors that told me I should apply for it. I was also invited to 2 other markets that are happening at different locations later in the year. 2, everyone was literally so nice, and the Girl Scouts were so sweet. Plus, we got Girl Scout cookies, which is always a win, and the booth fee went to a really good cause. And 3, I received so many compliments on my plushies. I was really nervous because this was my first market, and it was kind of the first time that I was like putting my work out there. So I was really nervous that like it might not be perceived well or people might not like it, but that couldn't have been more opposite of the truth. Literally everyone who came up to my booth was so sweet and complimented everything. And I will say, I still made a pretty nice amount of money from some of the vendors' kids. Because the market was so slow, some of the vendors' kids kind of kept like gravitating towards my booth because it had all of these colorful soft plushies on it, and many of them actually bought a plushie and kind of played with it for the rest of the day. So I got to see them like playing with my creations and like actually having fun with them, which was their intended purpose. So it was really wholesome. So now comes the moment you've all been waiting for. So at this market, I sold 2 axolotls, 1 purple and 1 blue. I sold 1 medium gray chicken and 1 large white chicken. And I sold my one and only derpy frog, which was kind of hard to part with because I featured that frog in a lot of like really funny reels on my Instagram. I think I also posted a few of them on YouTube as well. But I was so happy he found his forever home, and I knew I could just make a bunch more. But still, he was so special, and I'll never forget him. I also sold 3 mushy boys, 2 blue and 1 in that like minty green color. I also sold a green and a blue popping mushroom keychain. By the way, if you're selling anything that moves like this or is kind of like interactable, I highly recommend demonstrating that for people because that could be a huge selling point. Like I feel like once I showed people that the mushrooms popped, I feel like they wanted to buy it even more. I also sold 1 yellow octo and 1 green octo. And finally, I sold my blue sunflower turtle. So the grand total for my first market was $211. And let me tell you, for my very first market with like virtually no foot traffic, I was so happy with this. This market really allowed me to test the waters and learn some new things. So the first thing that I learned was that I should have a $5 bin. Several kiddos came up to my booth asking if I had anything for $5, and unfortunately my cheapest items were $10. So for my next market, I knew that I wanted to make some items that only take like 15 to 20 minutes that I could price at $5. And let me tell you, they were a huge success. Like I almost sold out of them at my second market, and I'll go into more detail about that in my second video. The next thing I learned is that people really love blue and like that minty green color. Like I feel like they drew the most attention, especially amongst like my octos, my mushy boys, and my mushroom keychains. The other thing I learned was not to be afraid to socialize with other vendors, especially if the event is slow. This really helps like market your business and opens you up to new opportunities, and you get to talk to people who have probably been doing markets for a lot longer than you have. Alright you guys, that wraps it up for this video. If you liked this video, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. You can also check out my Instagram and my Etsy shop where I have a lot of the cute things that you saw in this video up for adoption. I'll link those 2 things in the description box below. And if you have any questions that I didn't address in this video, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. Alright you guys, I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you in my next video where I'll talk about my second market. Bye!